When we think mutual funds, our mind often drifts to a large cap or maybe a mid cap or a flexi cap, but most definitely not a fund in the ELSS category. But in spite of a low mind share, the ELSS continues to be a dominant category in the mutual fund space with AUMs of over 1,35,000 crores across 1.27 crore folios, which makes the ELSS one of the largest category within equity-oriented funds. With so much happening, what we have here is a video that will help you better understand this category as we look to answer some of the most common questions around what is an ELSS, what are the tax benefits offered, how is the lock-in period calculated especially for SIPs, the performance of ELSS funds, what taxes need to be paid, how to find the best ELSS funds, and many such questions that a beginner or even a seasoned investor might have. With that being said, let's begin. ELSS is an acronym for Equity Linked Savings Scheme. And in three short sentences, here's what an ELSS is. One, it is an open-ended mutual fund where at least 80% of the assets are invested in stocks. Two, these schemes help save taxes by providing benefits under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act. And thirdly, these schemes have a lock-in period of 3 years. So by construct, an ELSS competes with other instruments like the PPF, NPS, a tax-saving fixed deposit, national savings certificate, etc. for a share of the tax-conscious investor's wallet. But unlike other instruments, which are mostly fixed income products, an ELSS is a pure play equity product, which means it is labeled more as a wealth creation product rather than a savings product. Much like all equity funds, the ELSS does follow a volatile path to progress, which it then compensates for by offering potentially higher returns to the investors. Investments made in an ELSS fund are eligible for tax benefits under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act. While there is no upper limit to the amount that can be invested, a maximum of 1.5 lakh is what becomes eligible for a tax break as per the income tax rules. In fact, this 1.5 lakh is an aggregate number, which means the Section 80C deduction includes your investment in other tax saving instruments like a provident fund, national savings certificate, life insurance premium, and a few more products. In fact, if you feel like having a Section 80C refresher, then do watch our detailed video, which is available on the ET Money YouTube channel and also in the Learn section of the ET Money app. Overall, the ELSS continues to be one of the most preferred tax saving option, which shows the growing maturity of the Indian investor who now sees the ELSS not just as a tax saving tool, but also as a wealth building one. All tax saving investment products have a lock-in period. For instance, the National Savings Certificate and the Tax Saving Fixed Deposit have a 5-year lock-in. The Public Provident Fund has a 15-year lock-in, and NPS investments are fully withdrawable only at the time of retirement. Comparatively, the ELSS category has the shortest lock-in period, with all funds within this category requiring a minimum holding period of 36 months before these units can be redeemed. For example, if you buy 100 units in any ELSS fund on the 1st of January 2018, then you can redeem these 100 units only after 3 years, that is on or after 1st of January 2021. Now, one confusion that many investors have is on the treatment of SIPs or systematic investment plans in the ELSS category. So let's extend our example, and this time we are doing an SIP of 1000 rupees every month in an ELSS fund with the first SIP installment starting from the 1st of January 2018. So 1000 rupees is invested on the 1st of Jan, then another 1000 on the 1st of Feb, then the 1st of March, and so on. The thing to remember with SIPs is that each transaction, each installment needs to be treated independently when calculating the 36-month holding period. This means the units we received against our purchase on 1st of Jan 2018 would be redeemable on the 1st of Jan 2021 as per the 36-month holding period rule. And by that same logic, the units received against our 1st Feb 2018 installment will be redeemable on 1st Feb 2021, and that's pretty much how this cycle goes. Now, on a more practical basis, keeping track of how many units are redeemable in any given month can be a little cumbersome. And this is generally the case with ELSS irrespective of whether you are investing in a lump sum mode or in an SIP mode. But when you invest in an ELSS fund via the ET Money app, the good part is that it is our platform that will take care of this redeemable, non-redeemable part. So when you get to the process of redeeming some units in an ELSS fund within the ET Money app, we will actually display the number of units and the approximate amount that is redeemable from your ELSS fund at that point of time. An ELSS fund is a mutual fund, and like all mutual funds, returns are not guaranteed in these funds. And while this non-guarantee part may leave a few people saddened, an examination of the top schemes shows that the category has done extremely well over many years. In fact, as a matter of comparison, we benchmarked the ELSS fund performances with their typical benchmarks and found that these funds have been handsomely beating the indices when we look at returns over a long period of time. We see this over a 5-year, 10-year and 20-year period, and it has been the more recent years, the last 2, 3, 4 years, when the performance of these actively managed ELSS funds have been a lot wavy, with some funds handsomely beating the indices while others struggling to catch up. And while this comparison table is a sight for a statistician's sore eyes, people like you and me invest a bit differently. In fact, many ELSS investors, and especially on the ET Money platform, invest via the SIP route, and that's why we went on to simulate how a monthly SIP of 1000 rupees would behave over different periods of time. The more recent performance data, especially the 3-year and 5-year time frames, have definitely been spruced by the recent stock market rally. So a better point of reference would be to look at the 10 and 20-year performance, which too has been pretty good for the ELSS category. Overall, investing in ELSS funds should be done with a long-term perspective, which not only helps build wealth but also helps investors in riding the volatility that is often associated with market-linked instruments. There are no index funds in the ELSS category, which means all funds are actively managed and would therefore have their own peculiarities in terms of their investing style, which can be growth, value or blended, the proportion of equity and debt, the level of diversification and concentration in these funds, and of course the market capitalization bias, with some funds focusing on large caps while some other funds active in the mid and small cap space. In fact, this last point, the point on market capitalization, is very interesting. In numbers, currently the ELSS category has only 33% of its assets in mid and small caps, which is generally the case at most times. But then when we see this table here, we notice that some funds have cranked up their allocation more on mid and small caps, which has really helped them deliver superior performance. The point here is that we as investors have to recognize these patterns before investing and the impact it might have on the fund's volatility and risk levels. And if this is starting to sound a bit confusing, then do access the ET Money app, where in addition to telling you the scheme's proportion of large, mid and small cap stocks, we'll also give you a report card for every fund, which will make your selection process a lot more scientific and much easier. Funds in the ELSS category have to be held for at least 3 years, and therefore any profits made on the sale of those units will be deemed as LTCG or long-term capital gains. Long-term capital gains attract a tax of 10%, which is over and above an aggregate limit of 1 lakh rupees. When compared to other tax-saving financial products, the ELSS is somewhere in the middle. At one end are the tax saving fixed deposits where the interest earned is taxable as per your income tax slab, which can be as high as 30%. And at the other end is an instrument like PPF, which in spite of a 15-year lock-in offers tax-free interest rates. In that context, an ELSS at just 10% tax on capital gains exceeding 1 lakh rupees is still a very good deal. In spite of having the lowest lock-in period amongst all tax-saving instruments, many investors squabble over it and seek answers to how one can break this 36-month holding period. Well, the simple answer to that is no, you cannot withdraw from an ELSS fund before 3 years. However, if you need some money, then you do have the option of taking a loan against your ELSS fund. It's not an option many people explore, and the reason for that is the lack of knowledge on how it works and how beneficial it can be when you need some immediate money. In fact, many banks and NBFCs offer this facility with a loan amount equivalent to 50% to 60% of the investment value, and the loan itself comes at very low interest rates of 9 to 10%. If this really interests you, we would recommend you watch our video on loan against mutual funds, where we have detailed out the eligibility, process, interest rates, and other essential information that one would need to know when considering taking a loan. Investing in an ELSS fund is super easy, and it's even easier when you do it through the ETMoney app, which has over 24 funds in the ELSS category for your consideration. So all you need to do is download the mobile application, install it, complete your KYC, which is 100% digital and super fast, tap on the ELSS category and choose the scheme you like. ETMoney allows you to invest in the lump sum mode and in the SIP mode, and you can also choose amongst many banks and payment modes. More importantly, the ETMoney app also helps you track your fund and portfolio performance on an everyday basis, and also gives you a report card for every scheme, which helps you take the right decisions on which funds to buy and which funds to sell. Now, it's often seen that most investors apply for ELSS funds in the January to March period, which is popularly labeled as the tax saving season. In our opinion, that's not the right way to go about it, and the more prudent approach is to invest little by little on a monthly basis using the SIP route, which not only disciplines your investing but also helps in averaging your purchase, which is one of the secrets to long-term wealth building. In fact, after you're done with this video, I suggest watching another one on how to become a multi-crorepati by just saving tax. It's a video where we have given a process by which you can build a retirement corpus of over 7 crores by investing small amounts in an ELSS fund. So do watch that, and with this we come to the end of this presentation. Once again, thank you for your time, and do subscribe to the ETMoney YouTube channel and tap on the like button if you enjoyed this video. Here's wishing you the best, and I look forward to catching up with you next week with another insightful video. Until then.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.